What's going on? Welcome to About That Time with Jordan McDuff. Today I've got a little bit of a special treat for you. I've got two watches that I purchased for under $1, and they both say Citizen on them, and they both have printing Citizen on the back. How can I get a Citizen for $1? And how did I get two of them for $2? So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a fake watch and why fake watches are actually valuable to you. Today I received two watches in the mail. I've got this Citizen here. It is a quartz watch, maybe. It sure looks like a quartz watch, and it sure has a hands and a dial. But what is this? And is that a Citizen dial? Now let's look at a serial number. Let's take a look and see what model number we've got on our hands. Oh no. We've got Street Steel back, Citizen Quartz, water resistant. How water resistant? I don't know. Make in India. So I need to go make it? Question mark. So what I'm going to do is talk about this watch, talk about this very unique style choices that they decided to make on this corner here, and I gotta go find Street Steel at some point, find out what that is too. So we're gonna look at that. The other watch that I received for also $1 is a little bit better, I think, than the other one. This one to me seems like it could be a little bit more dangerous, but again, it's very well, I mean, you could tell this is a fake. I mean, obviously this dial doesn't match any of the stylistic designs, and this right here, this movement, these hands are very well placed. I mean, it's an excellent hands. I mean, they're really beautiful. And the glass is real glass. Now that's kind of funny. I don't think that's supposed to move when I hit it, but there it is. So let's look at the model number, see if we can find something about this watch. Now this is a little bit closer to a Citizen logo. We're getting there. This Citizen logo is not correct. Obviously, this logo isn't their logo. I think this is actually Chrono 24's logo. And then you have quartz, okay, AA, what does that mean? And then this mysterious logo here. This one actually has the full stainless steel back and water resistant. We don't know how water resistant. So let's take a look at these watches, starting with this one. Get the back off, look at the movement, look at what's inside, and we'll see how the anatomy of the fake looks like. So with all this space, you would expect a very spacious movement. So let's see what's going on here. All you do is basically take your edge of your knife and just kind of put up against here, and would you look at that? Let's take a look at that a little bit more. Now, our biggest telling point here is the fact that Citizen is literally nowhere on this at all. GL68, I believe that's what that says. Yeah, there's literally no information. And another thing that you can see here, Japanese movements will have plastic in them, but they'll never have a plastic hour hand movement piece here. So this piece right here should never be plastic, especially with the Japanese movement. Usually that's a tell sign that this is a fake. This is a small knockoff Miyota movement, and it's pretty gross to see people make money off of these movements because they're really, really gross. This is just a plastic thing that people put in there. Now, the worst part about these movements is the fact that they're so daggum hard to get off. I think that that's it. I don't know for sure, so I'm going to have to pause this and get this to work for a second. Now, you may be asking one interesting question. Jordan, why are you being so careful and treating this like a reputable watch? Because I do want to see I'm curious about the water resistance, honestly, of this watch. I really truly am curious about this case and this movement and all of the above. Now, after further inspection here, you can see Citizen logo is just absolutely terrible. I mean, that's a really terrible way to print that. I mean, it just looks disgusting. Now, this dial isn't even remotely there, and this is strange and crooked. That's actually a mistake. I didn't know the dial's flaked off, and the numbers aren't even applied, and this is really weak. Okay, so we know this is fake. Now, some tell signs of that is the movement is one of the first ones. All watches from Citizen and any reputable company come with a serial number on the back. The biggest watch that I felt was perhaps a fake was actually this one here. This Citizen Quartz watch, to me, it felt like I got it for $5 on eBay, and it just seemed a little too good to be true. So what I did was I purchased this watch, and lo and behold, there it is. Citizen Watch Company, base metal top, stainless steel back. This is the serial number, this is the model number. If you look this number up, it should come up in any kind of Google search, and it should be something that you should see on the back of the watch before you purchase it. If you don't see the back of the watch, I would not buy it. Unless it looks really good and you know what you're doing, I really would not venture out that far into getting a watch. Now, let me show you what the inside of an actual Citizen watch looks like. Now, a watch at this caliber has a little bit more of bells and whistles. So as you saw in this watch here, the watch that we're deeply criticizing, let me move this aside for a second. The watch that we're deeply criticizing here has this kind of pathetic little movement that's actually fake. Now, what the inside of the watch should actually look like, it should look like this. Let's get this off. It should look like that. Now, this movement has less plastic and more movement. Now you can see the model number is here, Citizen Watch Company, and then the model number is here. You have the movement, you have all the wonderful things, the battery. This thing is smaller than the other watch by a considerable bunch. Let me show you this. I'm going to put this side by side. This entire movement, this entire watch is smaller than this watch. So, and this doesn't even have the case on it. This entire case is filled, and these movements are not even in the same ballpark. So these are the things that you should look out for. Now, the water resistance on this watch is something that you should also look out for, considering this one being another thing. A way to preserve water resistance is that the company would actually put these little deep grooves into the backing of the case. You see here, this is where the pin goes through to connect to the movement. That way it doesn't break the pin. But these little grooves here are what stop water from coming in. Sometimes there's a little O-ring that goes around, sometimes not, depending on the water resistancy. But these are also found in like watches all the way from the back to 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. Old Timex used to also do this. So let's take a look at this one. This watch here is the most fake of all of them. I think this is the most fake watch that I've ever seen. Now, the glass isn't that bad, but I could feel my knife scratching it, and that should not happen with a mineral crystal, but it really isn't that bad. I feel like I could actually probably pop this crystal out with my knife, which is not what signifies water resistance. But I'm not going to do that yet because it says it's water resistant, which means at minimum, if water resistance is on the case, it means 3 ATM or 30 meters of water resistance or 100 feet. That's what that means. So let's get this thing open and get this thing anatomized. Alright, here's a good lack of attention to detail. Check this out. This whole thing is meant to keep this movement from moving, so it'll stay still. But here's the funny part, is it's actually not even touching it at all. It's just sitting and basically levitating right above it. Now this one actually has, I think, a little bit better movement than the other one. The other one was just a really cheap piece of crap. But this movement here, this little piece here, this is plastic here, but also there's plastic gears inside of this thing. Now this one acts really well to act like a fake Miyota, but that is not the case. This thing is really still the grossest thing I think I've ever seen. Now all you have to do, if you ever wanted to take a pin out of these things, is you just basically push this little piece here, and then the pin just pops right out. That's the thing that you have to do. So I'm going to do that here on camera for you. Oop. 1 second. There it goes. That's all it took. So all we're going to do now is just take a look at both of these movements. Now this dial is actually I am definitely conflicted. If these two were put in the same, if this dial right here was put in the other watch, it would look better. Now these are just glued on. You really don't have to worry about being nice to them. You can just see the glued part, and you can see this is not actual luminescence, it's just paint. Like this is just a painted on, and of course not even an applied logo. I guess Citizen doesn't care about their own logo being applied. Let's take a look at the other one. Now I take it back, Citizen did not apply their logo here, which actually originally led me to think that this was a fake, but it is not. However, I've done my research, this is actually a real model number, and this water resistance actually stands up to time. So as you can see, there are two methods of printing a dial over in the Asian countries of India and or China. You've got a couple of different ideas. This one decided to print on the actual dial and just straight up massacre the art of dials. This one did a similar job. Just printed this really cool design here, but it seems like it's actually pretty on there. It's definitely not painted like this one was. So let's take a look at the water resistance of these watches and see how they fare. Alright, just so you don't think I'm being unfair to these watches, I have closed them up to the best of my ability and how I would normally close this up for a customer. Now normally I would also let it go through its water resistance test and send it in to the lab to be ensure that it's going to work, but this is not worth my time on that. So let's see how water resistant this watch is. Now what I'm going to do is a little something different. I'm going to put a piece of paper inside of this watch here, and if that piece of paper is at all wet, the entire watch is compromised. Okay, so the case is on. I have put it on to the best of my abilities, and there's a piece of paper in the face. So let's see what happened. So we got some crinkling going on there. There's definitely bubbles coming out of that watch. There they are. There's only one way to find out how those bubbles are coming in. Now understand that this is a basic test. Understand that this isn't even 30 meters is what it says it is worth. Now, the reason why I say 30 meters is because any watch that has the written words water resistance on them means that it is 3 ATM or 30 meters. That is simply 100 feet deep. Alright, we're done with our water test. how we did. Alright, so you can definitely see some water around the edges here, especially inside the watch. Now, don't worry about all this stuff out here. All I'm worried about is the inside of this watch. So let's go ahead and get this watch pin out, and let's flip the case over. And, I mean, honestly, none of this should be wet. Now, as you can see through this check paper that I have here, that is a failing grade. Unfortunately, that is a failing grade. You can see water all in this movement. Now, what I failed to do was put water here. Instead, there is a under glass here, which is just not good at all. Clearly, the water was actually coming through this side of the watch and ended up just filling in this area. You can see even more water here on the face of the dial. All right, time for watch number 2. Now keep in mind that any kind of water inside of a watch is completely a failing grade. Now this plastic has managed to save and to kind of hold the water in this area right along here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this off. See water all in this right here. So let's get this case off here. See how the water did? Now that water test was pretty bad. There's water all in that too. And this is not even 30 meters worth of, I mean, this is not even 30 meters. This is a glass full. I mean, you know, people make jokes about drowning in a cup of water. That is what we're talking about. This watch is literally drowning in a cup of water. All right, so I've got one last test that I wanted to put on these fake Citizen watches. Here at About That Time, we do a 7-day challenge. I'm not going to do that right now, but we ask 2 questions. And if they can pass the 2 questions, then it goes on to the next part. And sometimes we skip the 2 because the watch can't handle it, but this watch looks tough enough. The first question is it rugged? No, the watch is not rugged. In fact, when I hit it, all of the dial markers fell off of it. Okay, so no, and we have a broken, we got some broken glass here, and yeah, we got some broken glass here, and it's not rugged. So this is what's left of our rugged Citizen watch. Now, the next question is, on our test, does the watch work while it's wet? Let's find out what our watch does when it's wet. Let's see how our beautiful new fake Citizen watch does in the wet. What do you think, guys? You think it's killing it right now? Beating some horology to death? I don't think so, but I missed a piece. This thing is a killer piece. Now, I'm not done. This isn't the only watch that we have left. So the first question of this About That Time test is, does it rugged? I don't think so. And the next question is, does it work underwater? Well, let's find out, why don't we? Let's just shove this thing in there and hope. Oh, I missed a piece. Sorry, the glass came off. Never seen that happen before. Yeah, so we've got ourselves a couple of fake Citizen watches, and they pass the test. So yeah, go get yourself one for $2. Really would be just kind of an awesome thing to have around the house to impress your friends on how frugal you are and how much of a fraud and a sham you are for not supporting a company that you actually care about. Man, that just feels good. You know what I'm saying? It feels like it's about time. It's about time. All right. So we've had our fun with these 2 fake Citizen watches, but how do these watches actually benefit the watch community? And how do these watches actually help you if you get swindled into this? And I'm about to go into that right now. So what can one person do with a piece of junk like this? I mean, this thing has had its ringer. This thing is done for. This thing has broken glass, and it doesn't have a movement, and all of these other things. Well, here's the beautiful part, is that this watch is actually still useful. And if you're resourceful enough, you'll find usefulness in almost anything. Now, this watch has hands on it. This watch has a decent case. It's not perfect, it's not amazing. And this watch has a really nice leather band. I mean, it's faux leather, but it cosmetically looks great. And it also has a really nice buckle too. So what I would do is I would salvage this piece to take the case and remove the glass carefully, and to keep this faux leather band for any of my watches that don't have a band, which are actually a couple of them. And to give you an example of this, I actually produced my own watch here. This is the first watch that I ever made myself. I designed this watch by just a minimalist kind of design. I really wanted to just shoot for minimalism. I really didn't want to just go crazy. But as you can see, I've got 3 hands here, very basic black, nothing dial, no markers except for here at the 12 o'clock, just for a reference point. My fingerprints are all over this thing, and everything is sloppy, everything is gross. But it's the first watch that I ever made by hand, and I can thoroughly say that I got all the parts off of these watches and put them together. And it looks good. I would actually wear this if it actually worked, but the movement was so cheap that I got that it really just ended up not being any good. And that's the unfortunate part, is that these movements are not very good at all, and it really sucked. So that's the beautiful part of these watches, is really for DIY and for parts. These movements cost 75 cents a piece to purchase on Alibaba in bulk. So let someone else get this for 75 cents a piece and then put them in 100 watches. Yeah, they're fake watches. Yeah, they use the name Citizen incorrectly and illegally, but at the same time, these people are putting in the effort and time to put these watches in. So learn useful skills like how to put hands on a movement, installing dials with hands on top, removing hands and things like that, removing batteries, getting used to that. The way that I got into this industry was just taking this apart and putting this back together and having zero consequences for it. I'm not taking apart a $500 Seiko. I'm taking apart a $2 fake Indian piece of crap that doesn't matter. So all that I'm saying here is that watches are as resourceful as you are. And if you care about the craft, you care about that specific watch, you can turn that into anything. You just have to be resourceful enough and have enough parts laying around. I've got so many watch parts that I have to organize them properly, and otherwise I'll lose it. I recommend getting some organizers. You can get them at a dollar store for literally $1. You can get a watch for $1, take all the parts off and mess with it, have fun with it. You don't have to get a fake Citizen. Those are actually really expensive for the used market, believe it or not. You can get a cheap watch for 20 cents. I mean, these watches blow my mind how cheap they are. And you get an entire watch. You're not going to get a watch like this, but you are going to get an entire watch from front to back. Something that is something you can toy around with and break and give to your kids so that they can break it. And you're not messing around with your $300, $400, $500, $1,000 watch. That is the beauty of these watches. That's literally it. They are useless except for craftsmen So be a craftsman or throw it away, because a fake watch has no value to the horology place. Just use it for arts and crafts. It's really what it is. It's basically a pipe cleaner. It used to have a purpose, now it doesn't, other than for arts and crafts. So thank you for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe if you want. I don't know how to do outros, so God bless America, and see you guys next time.